I do hate to be repetitive, but following an FB conversation, not that I'm saying anything against the person I was conversing with, um, I thought, well, exactly how much of the evidence that I have is purely circumstantial? Well, it's a mixture, really, isn't it? I can prove that my father's alias was Dick Oakley. I can prove the date at which he took that alias, immediately after World War II. I can prove that he moved around a huge amount after World War II, including 5 years in Australia. I can prove that. Okay. I can prove that another man, if it was another man, also had the alias Dick Oakley. Which seems a bit much for a really quite small area in England. I can prove that this second alias Dick Oakley died on the anniversary of Fiona Green's death. I can prove that the boyfriend who was present at Fiona Green's death was murdered by a member of the UDA 2 years later. I can't prove that my father, whose alias was Dick Oakley, was present at Fiona's murder, nor can I prove that he phoned me that morning, which was what alerted me to the fact that he must have been present, i.e., he knew about her death before anybody else did. He did not call for help. He did not call police. He did not call the ambulance. He did not call a doctor. He did not call anyone at all except me. If my stepmother, Ellen, had been alive, she could have vouched for the fact that I knew that Fiona was dead when I walked in her front door that evening, and that I should not have known, because she had only known herself for about 2 hours. So there are things that I cannot prove. If Ellen had been alive, I would have had a witness to the fact that that conversation must have taken place. There is no other way that I could have known that Fiona was dead. Ellen is not alive. But there is a lot there that is actually documented. A man whose alias was Dick Oakley died on the 6th anniversary of Fiona Green's death. My father's alias was Dick Oakley, and he told me of Fiona Green's death 2 hours before she was pronounced dead by paramedics. It is a mixture of circumstantial and fully documented. There also appears to be a Margate connection, which I hadn't known of. On Fiona's death certificate, it states that she was born in Margate, which was news to me, and I cannot find any kind of birth entry. But there again, I can't find a birth entry for Fiona Green anywhere at all. She was adopted, so Fiona Green was not her name at birth. But she was adopted from her adoptive mother adopted her from the adoptive mother's half-sister, if that makes any sense at all. I know the name at birth of the half-sister. I know the marital name of the half-sister. Somewhere there ought to be at least one birth entry for Fiona Green. To my knowledge, there is usually a second birth entry at the time of adoption. So in fact, not only should there be one birth entry, there should be two, and there are none. She may or may not have been born in Margate. the boyfriend who was with her at her death was killed by a member of the UDA, Samuel McKinley. Now, in Margate, Fiona's supposed place of birth, 2 years before her death, a number of UDA members were arrested for, I gather, assorted offences. I think it was arms dealing. I wouldn't swear to that. I've got to check again. 1992, Margate, UDA. 1994, Fiona dies. And her birthplace is recorded as Margate. No evidence of that. 1996, boyfriend present at her death is murdered by a member of the UDA. So a huge amount of this can be documented. While there is a lot I cannot prove, I do think that a great deal of it does speak for itself.